Alrighty, welcome back. We're going to be going through questions 13 and 14 of Chapter 1 of the Study Guide for Strange New World. So reading from the book, Strange New World book, pages 27 through 28, is why we think the way we do. Human beings do not typically think about themselves and the world they inhabit in consistently self-conscious terms. Rather, we imagine it to be in certain ways, physically and indeed morally. The way we think about the world is not primarily by way of rational arguments based on first principles. It is much more intuitive than that, and that means that the story of the modern self is not simply the story of big ideas thought by profound thinkers. It is the story of how the way we intuit or imagine the world has come to be. And that involves far more than books and arguments. Question 13. Think of some of your most cherished convictions. Were you persuaded to hold them by argument or by something else? Again, I'll repeat the question because it's a powerful question. And this is something that the whole idea of this group that I helped create, this podcast, or other podcasts that we have, is we're trying to get to those first principles. So I'll repeat the question. Think of some of your most cherished convictions. Were you persuaded to hold them by argument or by something else? Now, for me, by this point in my life, I would say 80% of my points of view in life are through argumentation, because I've argued with them over the years with a lot of different people. It's not something I intuit as much. Obviously, there's things all of us just kind of intuit and go, yeah, that just doesn't sound right. Let me go ahead and I'll just take the logical leap. I'm not going to go and explore first principles. Let me just take the logical leap. I'm just going to intuit that. All of us do that. Nothing necessarily wrong with that. And those who understand the word necessarily understand what I just said. There's nothing necessarily wrong with that. Usually, I get to my thought processes through arguing over first principles. So I've said it before, if you want to debate me and win in a debate with me, get better presuppositions. That's really at the end of the day. What are your base principles? What are your first principles? What is it that you are assuming about the world? If those are better than mine, I'll come and join you. Question 14. How does your peer group shape the way you think about morality? Again, this is the typical peer pressure question. It's inevitable. Your social group, to a large extent, determines your morality. Good or ill. Shouldn't it be? I think everyone should go back to first principles. I think, and it's all transcendent in my worldview. But it's inevitable. Hang around bad people, you become bad. Hang around good people, typically become a little bit better. Hanging around people causes you to adopt the group's culture and the culture's moral imagination. Again, that's the moral imagination is from this chapter in chapter 1 of this book. So go back and read the book, discuss what the moral imagination is. But this really is, we don't think about this in the terms of culture because we're Americans, so we have a culture, whatever that is. We're too big of a country to have one culture. We don't think about this, that every one of our friend groups has its own culture, and we're being influenced by that culture. If you go and hang out with your happy hour friends after work, you're adopting part of that culture, whether you want to or not, or think you are or not, you are. Same with your friends at church. The people you hang out with the most in life are the ones who dictate what your culture is going to look like and what the moral framework of that culture is going to be. So pick your friends wisely and go out there and influence your culture.